Welcome back to the deep dive. We take your sources, pull out the best bits.
And today we're diving into The Next Conversation by Jefferson Fisher.
Yeah, it's all about communication. Especially, when things get tricky. This is basically your quick guide to the core ideas.
hmm And Fisher, he's a trial lawyer, right? So he knows conflict.
Right.
He argues something really interesting up front. Says the big problem isn't what to say,
Uh,
it's how you say it. That's the real skill to master.
okay, so it's a shift like away from winning an argument.
Exactly. Towards actually connecting with the other person.
That really resonated with me. The idea that just winning can actually backfire long term.
It often does.
Yeah.
The book suggests looking at conflict more like an opportunity,
Yeah.
you know, for understanding.
Instead of a battle. Yeah.
And a core idea here is the person you see isn't the person you're talking to.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, there's always something else going on underneath, right?
Yeah.
Something biological almost. That fight or flight thing.
Ah, the ignition phase, he calls it, versus the calmer cooling phase.
Precisely. Think about that story. Was it Bobby LaPrey, the big guy who seemed angry?
Yeah, but he was actually just like super worried about his mom.
Right. So you're often dealing with someone's reaction, their triggered state, not their usual self.
And that means you have to know your own triggers too. What sets you off? That's key learning, isn't it?
It really is. Knowing what triggers you teaches you about yourself. And once you get that ignition thing,
Mm-hmm.
the book offers, well, actual tools to manage it, to get to that cooling state.
And it starts so simply, like your first word should be your breath.
Yeah, just taking that controlled breath, it physically interrupts the stress response.
And then your first thought is a quick body scan. Like, where am I feeling this tension?
And labeling the emotion, it sounds maybe basic, but is about that self-awareness. Regaining control before you react.
Okay, breath, body scan, label emotion. Then what?
Then your first conversation is actually with yourself, like a mini small talk.
Small talk with yourself.
Yeah, like a short phrase, stand up, or find the struggle, something actionable to refocus your mind right then and there.
I like that. It's practical.
Very. And combine that with controlling the pace, using pauses. It gives you real power in those moments.
So the pause isn't weakness, it's intentional.
Exactly. Gives
Yeah.
you space. The person who controls the pace often controls themselves. So
And that self-control, he links that directly to confidence.
he does. So just confidence isn't just there. It's a feeling you build by being, well, assertive.
Like cutting out filler words. Or that up talk, where sentences sound like questions.
Yeah, all that stuff. Being clear about your needs builds that feeling. Every word counts.
And that applies to difficult people too, right? Refusing to give them the reaction they want.
Absolutely. Using those pauses or just calmly repeating what they said, it denies them that dopamine hit they might be looking for. You stay in control.
Which seems to lead right into boundaries. No is a complete sentence.
Yes. And it's not just self-care. It's like you're actively telling people what you value.
So accepting that you might disappoint someone is actually about prioritizing yourself.
Pretty much. You're giving them a manual, not a remote control for how you operate.
Okay, and one last big tool was frames, wasn't it, for connection?
Ah, yes, frames. Basically stating the purpose up front, like, hey, I want to talk about X.
And my goal is we both understand why, something like that.
Exactly like that. Sets the path, manages expectations, reduces anxiety for everyone.
So pulling this all together, this deep dive really shows that good communication isn't about winning arguments.
No, it's more about control, confidence, and that connection piece.
It really asks you to look inwards first, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Understand your own stuff, your triggers, and then choose your response.
Yeah, focusing on clarity, trying to see the real person, setting those boundaries. It turns conflict into something potentially positive, an opportunity.
It definitely makes you think differently about, emails, texts, those daily chats, the impact your words have.
The ripple effect.
So here's something to think about. What's one conversation maybe you've been putting off?
Ooh, good question.
And how might using just one of these ideas, maybe taking that breath or using a frame, how might that change things?
It can make a huge difference. Your next conversation might just be the one that, well, changes everything.